You know, we hear the word innovation thrown around all the time, right? It's more than just a buzzword. It's the real engine of progress. But what happens when truly game-changing, critical ideas get stuck in the mud? Well, today we're going to walk through a powerful playbook for navigating that complex world. We're going to discover how the right kind of strategic partnership can be the key to unlocking some serious real-world impact.
So, how are we going to tackle this? Simple. First, we'll map out what I like to call the innovation labyrinth to really get a feel for the landscape. Then, we're going to zero in on the specific friction points, the stuff that really causes slowdowns, and get inside the mindset of the key players. And then, the exciting part, we'll dive into a really cool solution called the partnership funnel and the powerful engine that makes the whole thing work. You see, to succeed, any innovator has to first understand the maze they're operating in. Getting a brilliant idea from your head to the real world is almost never a straight line. It's much more like a complex labyrinth filled with all these different players, technologies, and organizations that somehow have to connect. And that brings us to the core question, the one everyone in this space has to ask themselves. The problem usually isn't a lack of good ideas, not at all. The real bottlenecks, the things that truly grind progress to a halt, are almost always much more systemic and, relational. This right here really paints the picture. True innovation is never a solo act. It's an orchestration. You've got to align all these different stakeholders, from the regulators to the end customer, and they all have their own priorities, their own processes. Getting this symphony to play in tune, well, that's the central challenge for anyone trying to make a real impact. Okay, so it's one thing to understand that it's complicated, but the really crucial part is to identify the specific points of friction. Where exactly does the engine of innovation stall out? I mean, everyone talks a big game about the promise of collaboration, right? Synergy, speed, progress. But the day-to-day reality is often just friction. You have teams that speak different jargon, due diligence processes that are slow and way too complicated. And honestly, just getting noticed in a sea of digital noise is a massive hurdle all by itself. And here's a quote that hits on a very, very modern problem. Everybody's inbox is getting absolutely flooded with low-cost, AI-driven marketing. What does that mean? It means cutting through all that digital chatter to have one single, meaningful conversation with the right person is harder than it has ever been. It's a key obstacle that any modern strategy just has to solve. So what does all this friction create? Well, it builds a really unique set of pressures, especially for the entrepreneurs and innovators who are at the heart of these new ideas. And to engage them effectively, you absolutely have to understand the journey they're on. The journey to gain real influence, to have the capital and the network to make big moves, it's a marathon, not a sprint. We're talking decades. The key decision makers we want to partner with have often spent their entire careers building their track record, and that experience fundamentally shapes their mindset, their tolerance for risk, and what they look for in a potential partner. And let's not forget the immense personal pressure here. For so many entrepreneurs, this isn't just a 9-to-5 job. They are often betting everything, sometimes risking their family's financial security, all for their mission. This just underscores why they can't afford to waste a second on inefficient processes or partnerships that don't have a clear value proposition. And this number? Wow, it highlights a pretty stark reality. Access in the world of high-level innovation can come with a seriously hefty price tag. To navigate the system and get in the room with key decision-makers, you often need significant capital right from the start. This creates a huge barrier to entry and really shows why a smarter way to connect is so desperately needed. So, given this labyrinth of stakeholders, all this friction, and this intense pressure, how can anyone possibly break through? This brings us to a powerful strategic solution, the partnership funnel. It's a systematic approach, and it's designed to turn these very challenges into a major advantage.
The whole philosophy behind it is simple, but it's incredibly powerful. Instead of making some big, cold ask right up front, it's all about building relationships methodically. It's a process designed to organically establish trust by demonstrating clear value at every single step of the way.
And here's the playbook. It starts with a simple, organic conversation. Then, you offer genuine value, for free, through things like high-quality events or content. This is how you build trust. And, critically, it allows you to gather intelligence. Only after you've done mutual diligence and you know there's clear alignment, does the process move to that final step, the big ask for a strategic partnership. This de-risks the entire process for everyone involved.
Okay, so let's pop the hood and look at the engine. What drives this entire funnel is a powerful, self-reinforcing cycle of 3 key elements: value, trust, and data.
And this might be the most crucial point in the entire strategy. The free offerings, the webinars, the reports, the content, they are not just marketing fluff. They function as a really sophisticated intelligence-gathering mechanism. By providing value first, you earn the trust and the attention that reveals what the market truly, desperately needs.
This table breaks down that value exchange perfectly. On one side, you're providing high-value events and content, completely free. And in return, the organization gets something even more valuable: data. You can actually see who's engaging, what topics are resonating, and what questions people are asking. This becomes your real-time market intelligence.
And that data doesn't just sit on the shelf. It becomes an active asset. You can use it to advise strategic partners, to validate new ideas, and to identify the most pressing pain points in the market. It allows you and your partners to build these finely tuned funnels that efficiently connect the right solutions to the right customers. You know, the ones with capital, acumen, and influence.
So the real key takeaway here is this. The model of leading with value to build trust and gather data isn't just for forging huge partnerships. It's a scalable strategy. The final question for all of us to consider is, how could this value-first approach be applied in your own work? How can you better understand the needs of your key stakeholders to build the trust you need to drive any great idea forward?